Hey guys, this is your host Gooby, and welcome to the Toon Balloon podcast, our outlet to discuss, theorize, and enjoy our favorite webtoons with the occasional anime and manga sprinkled in between. So, I am super excited today because in this week's episode, I have the pleasure to speak with a Webtoon Canvas creator. Now, I have mentioned her webtoon in the past in a couple of episodes of mine, and that is the iconic drama/romance series, Pot of Gold by Natasha Berlin. Here is a short summary of what Pot of Gold is all about. Mia Moore has decided to leave everything behind to reunite with her long-lost twin sister. Her best friend, Aro, decides to go with her, but unbeknownst to Mia, he is running from a mysterious threat. A story about love, loss, and healing broken relationships. I sincerely recommend you check out her webtoon. It is honestly so culturally diverse, fresh, and well written. Plus, it has finished its first season, so this is the perfect time to catch up. And if you become absolutely obsessed with Pot of Gold, then you can support Natasha through Patreon. She delivers exclusive art and even sneak peeks to new chapters. I will be sure to leave all of the links to the creators' several means of support in the description box below. Considering that most Webtoon Canvas creators work independently and one can't necessarily fast pass their series, this is one of the best alternatives to supporting our favorite creators. Before we jump in, I must mention that there will be some spoilers in the second half of the episode, so you have been warned. Now, let's chat with Natasha Berlin, the creator of Pot of Gold. Oh, nice. Okay, so this is Natasha Berlin. Yay!
Yay!
So I'm so excited to have you on here because I love having guests, and I know we were in the talks of doing this for a while. So first things first, what got you into comic creating?
Okay, so I've always been drawing, like making little stories and illustrating them is something that my sisters and I used to do when I was like 7. We'd make these like little Harry Potter picture books that we would illustrate, and we'd like staple them together on like printer paper. We made all these books. And so it wasn't exactly comics, but it's still sequential art and visual storytelling. I started making comics when I was about 12. I don't know how I got into it. I would always read the funnies. That was like the only comics I ever really read.
Really?
But yeah, it was interesting. Like you'd think I would have grown up with like manga or Marvel. Yeah, I grew up with neither. Just the Sunday funnies. But I started making this dumb little comic about these like airheaded cat superheroes that, but they were just like, you know, these airheads that ended up getting struck by lightning and getting superpowers, but like they're actually like not very good at saving the world, and they're more interested in like having cool outfits, which looking back I'm like, there's a lot of internalized misogyny in this comic, but you know, I was 12. Yeah, but then at some point that same year, I was in 7th grade, my sisters and I came up with the idea for Pot of Gold. And like we were just joking about like this should be an anime, and we had never seen any anime. We had never like read any manga. We knew it existed, but we had like no exposure to it. We didn't even watch Avatar until I was a teenager. And so, but we were like joking about it, like, yes, you should turn this into an anime, which we were actually thinking about manga, but we didn't know the difference at the time. So, but the next day, you know, I took it seriously. I started making character designs, and I have been working on Pot of Gold ever since. It has been 14 years, wow. 13 years going on 14. Yeah.
I bet it was fun when you finally started to publish it on Webtoon, right? And so that was how long you had it in the making. That's insane.
Yeah.
How did you get into Webtoons to publish it on there?
So that was definitely much later in the story. The story had gone through multiple rewrites at that point. Like the first draft is not even recognizable. But at that point, I had gotten it pretty close to the version that it is now. And this was like not long after I got married, like within the first year. I had been starting to pick it up again after the mission and like worked out some like plot points, and I was like, okay, I think I know where I'm going with this. And then one Sunday morning, I just woke up with a strong impression that I was like, it's time to publish it. It's time to write Pot of Gold. I was like, okay. You started to tell me twice. I've been working on this for like a decade, so I'll do it. But yeah, and so but it's interesting because I had only recently discovered Webtoon at the time. I found Tapas first. Quite on accident, actually. I was doing like an internet search into like some self-publishing stuff for a friend was making a book, and so I was looking into stuff. And I happened upon Tapas, and so I was like, oh, you can publish your own comics. And I mentioned to a friend, she's like, oh, you should check out Webtoon. You should read A Budgie's Life and Space Boy. So those were the two first Webtoons that I really got into. Absolutely fell in love with Space Boy. I love A Budgie's Life too. If you haven't read it, I think you'd enjoy it. It's chock full of anime references.
Oh wow.
It's so good. It's completed. It's super cute.
I have to check it out.
Yeah, it's a good one. I think you'd like it. It's really cute. But so I started reading Space Boy and Budgie's Life, and then when I like knew it was time to start publishing Pot of Gold, I just like started drawing it and like made the first chapter, which at the time was literally just like, you know, the part is like, Mia, wake up. That was all of it. And there was like a panel at the end where she's waking up. That was the whole first chapter.
Wow.
And I just published it. I didn't know about Buffer. I had like no access to the community or anything. I just kind of like went into it blind, and like it worked out. So, you know, all the advice that I would tell to someone like as a first creator is mostly stuff that I didn't do and should have. But it worked out in the end. So
I mean, I love that it's on there and that everyone can have access to it. And I just love how fluid it is. Like you said earlier, before we even started recording, that you get like critiques from friends and so what. And I think that's really cool because it feels so much more professional when I read it.
Oh man, it definitely helps. Like anytime I see a creator that makes their thumbnails without sharing them with anyone and then just goes straight into production, I'm like, no, you're shooting yourself in the foot. Because like, you know, it's hard to tell because you know what's going on. Sometimes it's hard to see when something that you assume makes sense isn't really making sense.
Yeah.
And so like, I know in the long span, there's definitely some things that I could improve on, like some things that should have been clearer, but I try to at least have each chapter within itself be cohesive and make sense. And so having beta readers for my thumbnails, it's really nice because they can tell me what's not working. Well, it's cheap and easy, and I can tweak dialogue or rearrange a whole page without too much of an issue.
Mm-hmm. So what's the process like for creating one chapter?
So for creating one chapter, the process that I've landed on at this point is I'll start. So I have a lot of the chapters prepped. In the past, I've had just the next few planned, like this is what happens in this specific chapter. I've actually now at this point got an outline of every single chapter in the comic, which will require some edits. There's definitely some things I want to add to it and take away. So it's not going to be the exact number of chapters, but like, anyway, basically I know roughly what's going to happen in each chapter. I'm like, oh yeah, you know, this character's going to be introduced in chapter 30, and like this major plot point's going to happen in chapter 62.
Oh my gosh.
I'm a little nuts.
You're committed. That's what it's called.
I'm a planner.
Yeah. I mean, that's fine because I mean, your comic comes out cohesive.
yeah. You know, I know where it's going. But yeah, so I'll take the chapter that, you know, I have a rough outline of what's going to happen. And then I go into Code Studio and I just do scripting and thumbnailing all together. I know in the past it's helped me to write out a script and then put it out as a chapter, but like nowadays I found it's just kind of faster to do that way. And I'm used to thumbnailing at this point, especially after Blue Skies. So, but I'll go in, and the hard part is trying to arrange everything so that it fits the right number of pages, because I actually print each each chapter into an individual zine, which generally has about 16 pages, and it has to be divisible by 4. Otherwise, you can't print it out and staple it the right way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a self-printing kind of quirk that I have to deal with. So like having to arrange it so it fits in a number of pages that's exactly divisible by 4 takes a little bit of mental acrobatics, but it's fun. It works.
Cool. So you plan on like actually publishing it hardcover, like hard copy?
Oh, absolutely. Like I think any comic artist who like has maybe even the vaguest inkling of taking this seriously as a profession should be formatting for print first, because if you're just formatting for Webtoon, it is a nightmare to try and get Webtoon format to retrofit into print format. Whereas going from print format to Webtoon format is not that difficult at all.
Okay. I did not know that, so I have to keep that in mind one day.
Absolutely. And that's what Stephen McCraney does. And you make an asset when you're able to publish a book. Because like if you're just doing Webtoon, even if you're featured, that income is only going to last you as long as you're featured. And then as soon as you're not on contract anymore, you're not getting any more income from that comic. But if you have it printed as a book, you'll have reprints, you'll have omnibus editions, you'll have libraries having your books out. Like, you'll be able to continue making money off of that even after the story's already finished. So yeah, it's something I'd recommend to any creator who has like even the vaguest inclination to like do this as a career.
That's cool. That's awesome. And I love that advice. That's amazing. Like, do you have an idea when you might plan to publish it, if you ever got the chance to, like in hard copy, or is that whenever you finish it completely?
Right now I'm putting it off to like go like do publishing pitches in the case, or like in the chance that I get a feature offer from Webtoon, because if that were to happen, then I would end up probably rewriting the first season and to that. So right now my focus is just getting the story out there. Should I finish and not end up ever getting featured, then I'd look into publishing deals at that point, and it would be already finished. So that's cool. Yeah. I am planning to, before too long, try and pitch Blue Skies and Forget-Me-Nots, because that one is a 90-page completed graphic novel. So that one's ready to get printed. So yeah.
I love Blue Skies. I was reading it and I was like, oh my gosh, that was so good. And it was like a team effort. I thought that was awesome.
It was super fun. Like, and Stephen McCraney helped too as well. Like he didn't like work on it, but he gave us a lot of good advice that helped us to really flesh out the story and give it direction. And I think honestly, like, should that get published, his name will be like in there as well. As like, thank you so much for your writing advice.
And that was for a contest, right? Like when you wrote Blue Skies? Okay. And so like I noticed you guys won something in it, or like you made it in a round.
Yeah. So what happened was, I didn't actually write it. My friend Julia is responsible for all the world building and stuff. The only part of it that I wrote was Aro's character and his reaction. So it was actually based off of a role play that we did. So she had this character named Julia, who is a portal traveler. And at some point we ended up doing role plays where she and Aro like became friends and actually ended up dating for a short amount of time. And she was like, I really want to do a role play where Julia pulls Aro through a portal. And I was like, okay, but the only stipulation is, because this is in the backstory, it's in the past, this experience can't drastically change his worldview.
Yeah.
Because like, I want this to be canon, and I like want it to not affect the story that I'm currently writing. And so that's how to not spoil it, that is kind of how the ending came about. And she had this goal, she had this ending that she knows she needed to get to. And I think that's why, because role plays will sometimes just go off and to whatever and just kind of peter out, but she had an end goal. And that was something that I think really fleshed out the role play as a whole story. And of course it was a little different in the role play. We definitely had to edit a lot of things to give it more cohesion or give the story direction. But like, yeah, she came up with the whole, like, the world and like the plot line and the ending and everything. It was really cool.
I love
and
that.
So yeah, and then when I heard about the short story contest, I was like, I want to enter this. I feel like this is something I want to do. And I like thought of a few stories that maybe I could do. And I turned around, I was like, hey, what if we did that role play and made a comic out of it for the short story contest? And it ended up happening. We ended up bringing on my friends Kaylin and Eli, who are Welsh and Eli on as they're credited. Welsh helped a lot with the world building, and Eli was the lead colorist. And so, and then like we all helped with the art too. Like I did all of the like drawing, so the inking, and then Worf and Welsh worked together to do all of the flats, and then Eli did everything else on the colors, the lighting and everything. Like especially when you look at the last chapter in the magic shop, like Eli just went all out on like the magical everything and killed it. I was like, oh my gosh, it looks incredible. It's all glowy and sparkly. He's like, this is my favorite thing to do. He's really good at like fantasy and stuff. So yeah, he killed it. Great, but yeah, cool. Following up on the actual question I was answering, yes, we did end up getting on the list of runner-ups. So there were 10 winners, and then they had like 38 runner-ups that they picked, and ours was one of them.
That is so cool, though. I mean, I loved reading it, so whenever it gets published, let me know. I'll go.
I'm a post about it everywhere.
Yeah. Like, I did it. We did it.
Yes. I just need to actually do it.
I think you mentioned in your last Q&A that you were going to go pitch it and everything already, like during this time from your season break.
Yeah, that is. And the one with Sai. That was fun. But yeah, that is one of the things I intend to do during the hiatus, and I just keep putting it off because I'm like, I've never done it before, and so I'm like not entirely sure what I'm doing, but I need to do it. I will get around to it. It is on my list. So.
In the making, yeah. It's on the lookout for. So let's see. What motivates you?
What motivates? This is the question about art block, right?
Yeah. And when you hit an art block, what are your methods to get out of the funk?
Yes, this is an interesting question because, like, this may make some artists angry, but I don't actually really have art block. I don't really get it. I've definitely had it before, but like for me, like motivation, I think it's bogus. Like it exists, but it is by no means something anyone should depend on if they want to make a career. One of my favorite quotes on motivation was something, I'm going to paraphrase it, I don't remember who said it, but it was something along the lines of like, I work when I feel inspired, and I get inspired Monday through Friday at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
It was like, you can't depend on motivation to push you forward. You just gotta like do it. And sometimes you'll feel like it, sometimes you won't. Now, my biggest struggle is not so much with motivation, but with executive dysfunction, because I am super ADHD, and I'm only in the past couple of years finally figuring this out. But yeah, I have an impaired prefrontal cortex that makes it difficult for me to maintain productivity. And so I'm always coming up with new strategies. I always like, this is my new schedule, and this is my new routine, and I'm going to try this thing now, and this is my goal. And so goals and plans and schedules and routines help, and I'm constantly changing them and constantly trying to find something that works, and something will work for a little bit and then it will stop working. And it's a constant battle, and it's exhausting, but like it is, something that I want to do because this is what I want to make into my career. And so yeah, but setting goals, like having deadlines, something that you're working towards does help. Like having a publishing schedule. Like I want to have my chapter ready by this day. And the only times if I don't meet my deadline, I'd be like, okay, well, I have just a page to do, so I'll publish it tomorrow. Or I'm going to schedule this for exactly the same time, but in a week. Actually, on a few occasions, I have published a chapter a week later than I was supposed to, and nobody noticed. It was like there were 3 weeks between the two chapters and nobody notices because I don't have a weekly schedule, it's bi-weekly. And so they're just like, if it doesn't publish on a Friday, they're like, oh, it must be an off week. So that's the thing. I mean, I see a bunch of creators over apologizing, like, I'm so sorry I didn't get this in on time. I'm like, dude, if you don't publish weekly, if you're not a featured creator, I have no idea when you're going to publish. The only way I know that you didn't publish on time is because you told me in a special announcement chapter in which you apologize about it. I'm like, I'm not paying you. You're not under contract. You're not being paid. Like, Yeah, so half the time I don't even bring it up. I'll post it like on Discord or on Instagram. I'm like, hey, it's going to be this time. I don't apologize.
Yeah.
Most of them are paying me.
Yeah.
I'll publish when I want.
That's a good outlook on it, because I know they put a lot of pressure on themselves, and I get it too. I'll be like, guys, I know I didn't do it today. Like, as I struggle with that too with the podcast. Sometimes I'm like, I tell my husband, I just want to lie down, put my feet on the couch, and go to sleep.
Yeah.
And some weeks I'm like, okay, let's go do it. I gotta do it, because I'm like, I am. But honestly, I get that so much, and I love that outlook that you just are like, no pressure, you just do it.
Yeah, like the goals are more for me than anything. And like having a routine and being accountable does really help, especially with ADHD, is like keeping yourself accountable to someone. I'd like, honestly, I'm just like, if I ever get a feature offer from Webtoon, I might just hire an assistant who doesn't even work on the comic, just someone in the local area who can show up and like work in my office.
Yeah.
So that like I know I have to work because I know that they're there. Like just hiring a body double. And hey,
Yeah.
if they can help with the comic, that's a bonus too.
Yeah.
It's like, you're here to make sure I do my work.
Yeah. I need you to
just
sit
like,
here and look at me, make sure I'm working.
Yeah, just sit here and play Sims for 8 hours and make sure that I'm doing my work.
They make a little U on the sim and they're working.
Yes. Oh, dude, I've been like kind of a little hooked on Sims lately because I made all the pot of gold characters in Sims.
But I think I saw it on your stories, like you do the streams, right?
Yeah, I stream it on my Discord server because it'll just be spontaneous. So I'll just hop in VC. I'm like, hey, I'm streaming Sims, come chat with me. Occasionally, if I'm feeling like really dedicated, then I'll like stream it on Twitch too. Mm-hmm. But most of the time, it's just on Discord. Yeah, it's fun. I've got Mia and Tia living in a house together. I've got Aro and Karen and their parents actually living in a house together. And then Sai's parents are currently raising him. He's actually a toddler in The Sims right now. And he's adorable. He's an inquisitive little child.
Oh my goodness.
And then I've got John, and he lives in an apartment with Julia because actually they're cousins in Canada.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we just like, why not? Because whenever I did Blue Skies, everyone kept saying that Julia looked like John, and so we just decided they were cousins.
I can see that, honestly. Oh my goodness. And
I have similar facial structure. I
love John's character though, so I can see.
I love him. He is a bean and he is protected.
Mm-hmm. I think he's just a wholesome character, which I read him. I was like, I need more John in the series.
There will be more John in the series, yes. I can assure you of that.
Yeah, how many seasons are you anticipating for the series?
Currently 5.
5 seasons, okay.
Mm-hmm.
You got a workload coming in.
Yeah, they're all going to be roughly 15 to 20 chapters.
Nice. Okay. And then Kendall Create says, do you know what the ending is going to be and how do you feel about it?
So first off, hi Kendall, love your work. Anyone who's listening to this, feel free to go check out Touch and Go on Webtoon.
Yes.
Kendall is like, it's a delightful comic and Kendall is delightful human. So little plug in there. Sorry I didn't warn you, but I did a plug, so deal with it. But
I would have plugged him anyways. I know I'm gonna I put his info in the description. Just like I'm gonna have to put everything for you. You need to make sure you give me the Discord server link so I could put that in there and everything.
Heck yes. The Discord's a fun time, man. Like we talk about Pot of Gold and Myers-Briggs. Like those are the two things we talk about. Like converting everyone to Frank James's YouTube channel. Wow. Yeah. Remembering what the question was. Yes, I definitely know the ending.
Yeah.
In fact, I've actually scripted and storyboarded a good portion of the last season because the last 2 seasons are like my favorite because this is a romance, like spoiler alert, but that's when the ships are starting to like, not all of them, some of them sail earlier than others, but like, that's when like the end game ships are finally wrapping up and like I like Sap. So yeah, so yes, I have the ending very thoroughly planned. I know the epilogue. It's basically scripted. I could thumbnail it right now if I wanted to. Yes, I'm very much looking forward to this ending. And despite like the tough bits that we're going to go through to get there, I promise it will not be disappointing.
So what kind of reaction do you hope to invoke onto your audience when reading Pot of Gold?
Yes. The answer is yes.
Yes.
Feel all of the feelings.
Everything. You want to feel pain, and you want to feel
yeah, like, I mean, that is a part of the story, yes. But like, if we're talking about overall the kind of reaction that I want to get from the whole story, I want people to cry tears of joy, honestly. I want to, like, give people hope. I want them to, like, come closer to their loved ones, especially their family, their found family, or their real family. Like, well, found family is real too, but I want people to walk away from the story feeling hope and feeling love, and like, yeah.
I love that. It's a wholesome feeling. And just I love that though, because like when you read it, I love how connected the family is, and even Mia's, like, her own insert family when it comes to the cast and crew. I thought that was so sweet, seeing how connected they all were together.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, Mia's arc, like, the thing that Mia wants more than anything is family, and that's actually part of the rewrite of chapters 1, 2, and 3. Is inserting a little scene. I can tell you the scene right now if you're curious.
Sure.
Yeah. So it's a little scene in chapter 2 when she's talking to Renee. And Renee's kind of teasing her about breaking character. I wanted to insert a little part of their conversation where Mia's like, oh, hey, like, you're coming to Sunday dinner, right? And Renee's like, yeah. She's like, also, are you busy tomorrow? Like, I don't have anything going on. I was wondering if you wanted to, like, maybe go shopping or like get Jamba Juice or something. And Renee's like, oh, sorry, I actually have plans with my family tomorrow. It's my brother's birthday, so we're going to go to the beach and celebrate. And Mia's like, oh, okay. And like, she's like, yeah, that's fine. But you can see she's kind of like sad about that. And she kind of plays with her necklace. It's like, because one thing that I should have made clear in the beginning, that I intend to make clear in the beginning, is that Mia needs a family, and she doesn't feel like she has that, and that's why she's willing to drop everything to go be with her sister, because that's like basically her only family that's left. She's got her adopted mom, but her adopted mom's back in Colorado too, and so and like that is Mia's arc throughout the story, is like finding and like reuniting with family, finding family, creating a family, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. I love that though. It's so cool. I can't wait to see that though when you finally get the rewrites in. Because do you have like an idea when you're going to put the rewrites in? Like whenever you come back from season, or?
So I'm working on them right now, actually. So the Spanish platform of Webtoon is doing a contest called the Reto Webtoon. And they're doing, basically, they're judging by your first 3 chapters, which is why I'm redoing the first 3 instead of just the first 2, like I was planning. Basically, you have the opportunity to be featured. Mm-hmm. And so I decided, you know what? I think I'm going to enter that. Yeah. I basically just enter all of the Webtoon contests at this point. Yeah. So I'm entering Pot of Gold into the Spanish contest, and I actually just published it this week on Webtoon, and it's really exciting. It seems to be doing pretty well. There's not as many comics over there, so but it's exciting to put it over there and to translate it. So I'm excited about that.
And I guess some of your stories, that you're doing some stuff with the.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, you know what? Now that I have Spanish readers, I need to make sure that I'm bilingual. So I'm like, hey, we speak Spanish and English on the server, and I'm gonna like post everything in Spanish and English now. So yeah. But yeah, so the time frame for the rewrites is like no later than late October, but I'm hoping to finish them way before that. I mean, I've already inked most of the chapter 1 redraw, and as soon as I finish moving, I'm gonna thumbnail the next 2. So it shouldn't be more than a couple months, and then I've already thumbnailed chapter 19, and so I should be able to get working on that as soon as all that's done. So the hiatus is going longer than I expected. I was hoping by the end of the summer, but right now I'm hoping by the end of the year, but it shouldn't be too long. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, because I'm actively working on it. Like, I don't have any other job other than coloring Space Boy, so like this is what I'm working on. Progress is being made, and yeah, I'll keep posting about it and stuff. So
I'm excited then. Yay! I love that you include so much diversity within the story. It's what drew me into it when I first read it. And so was this an important element you wanted to incorporate into Pot of Gold?
Certainly by the time I published on Webtoon, that was something that I really wanted to incorporate. When I was writing as a teenager, it just wasn't something I was super aware of. Mm-hmm. And when I was writing it as a teenager, it was based in Japan and they were all Japanese anyway. So it was 100% just like straight. I was trying to make a manga. I was trying to write a shoujo manga. But when I got back from my mission, so I served Spanish speaking in Salt Lake City, Utah. So I learned the Spanish language and I interacted with a bunch of people from various countries, like all over South and Central America. I didn't meet a lot of people from Spain. Not a lot of them end up over here. But yeah, so I met a lot of Latinos and really fell in love with the culture, really fell in love with the people. And when I got back from the mission, I was like, I need to include this in my story. Like, I want to like write about these people and I want to show that. And like, so I immediately was like, okay, you know, Aro and Karen, they're going to be Latino. I'm going to make sure that's a thing. And then as I went further into the story, I was like, I want, every time I design a new character, I want there to be something unique about that character. Because like, you know, there's so many stories where everyone looks the same. And I'm like, I don't want them to all look the same. Like, I want to be able to draw as many different people as I can. Mm-hmm. And so like, especially the first time I really did this was when I was designing the cast. Because I was like, okay, so it's drawing Beth. I'm like, I want to draw like a girl with this body type. And I want to draw a really unique nose. So that's where Beth came from. And then I was like, I don't have any Polynesian characters. I want to draw Polynesian characters. Because I met a bunch of Polynesian people on the mission as well. And oh my gosh, such wonderful people. I'm telling you. So I designed the Inkala brothers. And then I had already designed Renee in a previous chapter. And so, yeah, so that's something I try and do every time I add a new character. And honestly, I kind of wish that I had started doing that earlier because like, you know, you can tell like the earlier that I designed a character, the less unique they are. You have Mia and Tia, who are my blonde white girls. And yeah, but you know, it's something that I plan on continuing to do because there's just so many people on this planet. There's so many beautiful people, and like, and that is all the people, by the way. Everyone is beautiful. Yeah, and you cannot change my mind on that. But like, you know, it's just like, yeah, you know, as an artist, like you're really missing out if you're not trying to draw a bunch of different kinds of people because it really just. I don't know. It's hard to describe it. It's just beautiful. I love humans.
Yeah. It's passionate. I love it. And I mean, that's what got me hooked in the beginning. Because like, I don't read many that have like a Hispanic character in it. And I love that not only is he Hispanic and it's just not like included, but you see his culture in the story. And I love that. Like he's just flipping tortillas barehanded. I'm like, there you go.
Yeah, it was my friend Elena. My friend Elena actually suggested that because she makes like she's used to cooking tortillas and she's like, oh yeah, I just flip them with my bare hands. Yeah. And I actually took a video of her flipping a tortilla with her bare hand while saying, I'm doing it for love. It's a great video. But yeah, like a lot of people commented, they're like, oh, you're gonna burn your fingers. I'm like, no, he's a pro. Like you just do it quickly. You don't touch the pan. Like
yeah, my grandma who lives in Mexico, she just puts her hand on the stove. No, like just the burner. Like there she goes. She's like, it's hot enough already.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, that's how I'm like, oh my God. And then eventually I can do it too. I don't like burning my hands, so.
Like, oh, she is a queen.
I know.
It's like you are on another level.
I know she is. Like when my mom was teaching me, she was like, Gabi, you need to just take it and just put it. I'm like, but it's hot. It's just like, you're going to figure it out. And then my dad cheats. That's what she says. My dad cheats and he'll take like a towel and grab it and do it because he doesn't want to burn his hands.
See, I just use my ADHD. I'll just turn it on and forget it exists. And then by the time I remember it exists, it's always hot enough.
And then it's like my grandma, she's like, it's hot enough, we're good. And I'm like, why did you do that? And then when I think back to it, I'm like, you know what? It's culture. And I think seeing Otto do it, I was like, yeah, it hit my heart.
I'm so glad, honestly, because I do worry sometimes. Like, I want to represent different kinds of people accurately, but like, I'm only one kind of person, and so there's only so much I can do. But I try and do what I can. I try and like do research when I can, or just go from like my experiences with various families up in Salt Lake, or just talking to friends. And honestly, like, if you ever have a suggestion, like I would love. Like, I've always wanted to see a comic with a Latino character that does such and such, or like that shows such and such another family. I'm like, okay, because like I'm not like just because my story's put into 90 chapters doesn't mean I can't find a way to include other things.
I would love to see a paletero boy or a paletero man with the ice cream car ringing his little bell.
Oh man, I'll have to look up some reference images.
Oh my gosh, because when my parents used to work in the flea markets, there'd always be the paletero man, and he'd go in with his little bicycle, and he'd ring his bell when he'd see people he'd think would pay. He's just looking at you, and you're like, don't make eye contact. If you don't want to, if you don't have no money, you don't look at him.
So they go to like markets and stuff, and they do that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
you can find them down the street here.
Are you in California?
I'm in Florida. Yeah.
Florida. Okay, yeah. My neighbor's from Miami, so he's probably seen that too. You don't have paletero boys here in Utah, unfortunately.
No. You're missing out.
I know, right? I would love to see that. Dude, when I was in Mexico City, I saw a guy selling tacos from a bicycle, and I was like, this man is a genius.
Yes.
And I wish I wasn't in a bus so that I could go get one of those.
Like, his is like an ice box, and he's riding a bicycle. And I just know my dad was always like, don't make eye contact. When I was a little kid, he's like, do not look at him.
Dude, oh man, they're leaving California. I don't think they would have those in Aspen, Colorado, but they'd probably have them in LA. I can imagine there'd be paletero boys in LA. That could be a fun little illustration. I could just do a drawing of like me and Aro, and me. It's like, oh look, there's ice cream. I was like,
don't look at him.
Don't make eye contact until they catch you.
He's ringing his bell. He's looking at her. He's like, you know you want this.
And Mina's like, yes, I do.
I mean, the thing is, when I have like 4 siblings, we make eye contact. So my dad was like, okay, we gotta go buy ice cream. He'd come out with like 5 or 6. My dad was the one that would hoard it, so he'll end up getting like 6 of them. And then I'm like, Dad, you said you were gonna get any.
So what if it was your mom with you when you saw the paletero boy? Was she like the I come in casa kind of?
Yeah.
Like, I come in casa.
Yeah. Like, you don't look at him, and we're just like, fine. But with my dad, we knew we could, like,
It's like, don't look at him. Okay. Look.
I love that. So if you ever put it in, you got to credit me. I'll be like, it was totally good.
Absolutely. I'll keep that in mind. I will try my hardest to find an excuse to put up on that table. I don't know why my first thought, I'm thinking about In the Heights, and I'm just thinking, Piragua.
Yes. That was such a good movie. My gosh.
I haven't seen the movie.
It's a good movie. You go check it out, because it's got Lin-Manuel Miranda like in the mix. It's like, like Hamilton was art, but this was like art.
I've listened to the soundtrack, my sister, and she explained the plot of it to me, but I haven't seen any version of the play or seen the movie. But I wanted to see the movie because I absolutely love the soundtrack, and I get it stuck in my head sometimes.
I think it's just beautiful. I think that's like the best way to put it.
I'm excited. I'll have to watch it.
Yeah. So I love that you have the characters act within like a television series. So what inspired that concept? I know you talked about like your sisters and you kind of making it up. Was this part of it?
Actually, it was. There are very few elements of the story that actually survived from the original prompt of the story. The twins are one of them. The twins reuniting, and then Mia being a movie star. So she was originally a movie star, and at some point she became a TV star. And so that was just a part of the story that was just kind of always there. Like she was an actress, and then she found out about her sister and decided to reunite with her and like, you know, leave her career behind and go be with her. So it's just kind of a part of the story that's been there for a long time. It's like since before the story existed.
Nice. I love that. And it's cool seeing the whole cast and crew too. I was just like, that's a really cool concept. It's like those series where a webtoon within a webtoon, but this time we have a TV series and a webtoon.
Okay, but funny story on that subject is like, I had people ask me over and over, like, so what's the show about? Like, what's the story behind that? And I just kind of had a vague idea of it, but at some point I accidentally made lore and characters and a story, and I'm like, crap. Now I have 2 story ideas named Pot of Gold with the same 2 main characters. And so, yeah, there is actually, like, I have 5 total comic ideas that I want to do, Pot of Gold being one of them. And this one is going to be called The Other Pot of Gold. But I gotta say, Aro's character, Luis, is one of my favorite characters that I've ever written. He's fascinating. I don't want to say too much because like this is recorded and stuff. I'll tell it to people eventually. I'll tell you about Luis in private if you want to know. But just say I absolutely love Luis's character. He's fascinating.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool! You got the whole concept in. It's a spin-off. That's what we're gonna have.
Oh, I just had to figure out who all the actors play. I know who Beth plays, and I know who Mia and Ara play, obviously, but I don't know about the other ones yet. So I'll have to figure that out.
Yeah, we know there's a kids scene, like they're kissing, so we're like spicy.
It's like, in case you're wondering, there is a ship between the 2 leads.
Yeah, somewhere else.
Yeah.
You said you have comic series in mind? Like, what kind of genres do you think you can? I don't want you to like put too much out there, I guess.
Oh yeah, I don't mind. They're actually all in some way, shape, or form tied to Pot of Gold. So there's Pot of Gold and there's the other Pot of Gold. There's Blue Skies, which is already finished. There's a collaboration I want to do with my friend Elena. She's the creator of Deer Face, which is absolutely delightful comic. Highly recommend to anyone. Go read it. It's called Curmudgeons in the Desert. Okay. She has a character named Bing. I have Aro's neighbor Alex, and we have a comic idea about the 2 of them in the middle of the desert for a few months, just arguing and being cranky old men. They actually, we decided these characters, we're just crossovers galore. We decided these characters served together in the Vietnam War and deserted together. And so they have like all this history. And so, yeah, we have a comic called Curmudgeons in the Desert.
That's so cool.
There's one that follows Psy after Pot of Gold, actually. It's called Move. And it's like him trying to get his life back together after all of the events of Pot of Gold and whatnot. Which I can't say too much about, obviously, because like it's after Pot of Gold. And so, yeah. But I can say the aesthetic is kind of a lo-fi California beach sunset aesthetic.
That's cute.
I love the color palette and I love the playlist. It's got kind of a lo-fi kind of vibe with some like dance music. The name Move comes from 2 things. One, a Little Mix song called Move that is actually on Psy's playlist, and it cracks me up so much to imagine Psy listening to it. If you listen to it, it's just like, what the heck, Psy? But then the other reason is because he moves to California.
Okay.
Which isn't too spoilery.
Yeah. And I love that lo-fi vibe, so I'm like,
Right? Oh, I absolutely love it too. And I actually have another comic idea that's like a sci-fi kind of idea that I might do as a collab with my friend Rach, who's the creator of First Fledge, which is another really cute webtoon. I know a lot of Canvas creators. but yeah, and so that's another, there's a 6th that's starting to become a thing. So
yeah.
So I should really probably finish Pot of Gold at some point so I can get to those, especially because I just really want people to see the ending. My goal is to finish Pot of Gold before I turn 30, which is only 4 years. So
I think you can do it. Well, it's your goal.
Yes, I can do it.
All right, so I'm gonna put us on a short break because then we're going to move on to all of the questions about the season finale and everything. So we don't want to there might be spoilers, whoever's listening. If you haven't read it yet, I go and tell you now because you're warned. So that season finale, how could you do this to me?
It's this plot point isn't as old as the twins reuniting and as Mia being a movie star, but this plot point is nearly as old. Like this plot point has been around longer than Aro's name.
Really? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's been around as long as so Aro actually wasn't in the first draft of Pot of Gold.
Okay.
He was introduced in the second draft as Mia's chauffeur, and his name was Mike. Which it's hard to be dramatic with a character named Mike. Apologies to all the Mikes out there, but your name isn't very dramatic. Try going by Michael.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but yeah, and so like what happened was like in that draft, someone was after Mia's money, some mysterious assailant or whatever, and that's assailant had planted a car bomb in her limo, and like the chauffeur, like, yeah, it was in it when things went off, and so like, and she like was in the rain, like swearing to avenge him, and it was just like this excessively dramatic scene. But yeah, and so that has existed for a while. It's survived through various iterations of the story and various rewrites. But yeah, but it's one that I've also struggled with various times. Like, why does this happen? What causes it to happen? And like at this point, I am finally at a point where I know exactly why it happens. I know exactly what causes it to happen. And if you ask me, I'm not going to answer because that is one of the things that the story will answer.
It's a spoiler, big spoiler, and we'll see it come soon.
Yeah, we will learn eventually, like what's going on with that.
I wanted to like send you like a reactionary video, but by the time I read it, I was like, I can't give her a genuine reaction because my reaction was just like, what?
You can just anticipate that like any season finale, but especially season 1 and season 3 finales, and of course, you know, the series finale. You can anticipate that those ones will elicit some big reactions.
I'm just like,
seasons 2 and 4 are cool too. Actually, the season 4 finale is pretty great too.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Still working on season 2.
I'm excited for that, and I was just like shocked, and I could tell the comments were just as shocked as like, what?
I was like both terrified and excited for the finale. I'm like excited because I'm like, they're finally going to know about this point. And so I'm terrified because I'm like, they're going to be so mad at me. Like, I had my friend Welsh, I'm like, hey, you know how to use a sword, right? Can you defend my apartment? Maybe I'll need to have her defend my apartment after chapter 19.
Oh gosh. You gotta have a bodyguard, four-person bodyguard.
Well, now I know how to use a sword, so.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I learned. I'm not very good at it, but you know, I also don't have a sword, but
yeah,
I mean, ignore those facts.
Well,
actually, you know, I have this one. It's
okay.
It's from a friend of mine who's like, hey, I don't want this anymore. I think it's from an anime or something.
It looks familiar, honestly.
Yeah.
Can't see very too much. I don't know.
Is it Aqua's sword? There's a character named Aqua. I forget the name of the anime, but it's like, it's an isekai.
Dang. Geez, that one looks really familiar. Why are there so many anime characters with swords? Because that one could be so comparable to like a game one too, honestly, like a video game.
Yeah, it's really pretty.
Yes, I mean, if you pull out like the Buster Sword from Final Fantasy, I'll know what that is because it's big and chunky. But that one is like, oh geez, I can't recall that.
I know that. And this one probably wouldn't actually do any damage, just foam. It would hurt. It would give you a bruise.
In the defense, you just scared them off. Like, I have a blade.
like scare you off with my anime sword.
I don't know if you know that meme with the boy, and he's like, I got God and anime on my side. He just pulls them out.
Oh man.
I think my friend was into like knife throwing. So he would collect knives and stuff. And I was like, what are you gonna do with that? He's like, you'll see.
That's not
no.
concerning.
It's not concerning. He was being silly. I did see him though use it. So it's pretty cool.
That's cool. That's a cool skill to learn.
I know.
I did do fire breathing once. That was fun.
Wait, that's insane. Really?
Yeah, so like it's not the kind where you like stick the fire in your mouth and then breathe it. Like I haven't done that, but there's the fencing group that I go to with my friend Welsh. They like will occasionally have like a torch, and what you do is you just like shove a crap ton of cornstarch in your mouth and just like blow it at the fire, and it just like lights it. So I have a video of me doing it. It felt pretty cool. You feel like a dragon, cool. And your mouth is all dry. Cornstarch. You know oobleck? You ever mix cornstarch and water?
Yeah.
Imagine that in your mouth.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you drink water after. Actually, don't. You just gargle water and spit it out.
Yeah, you don't want to ingest that.
It's worth it to look like a dragon now.
Yeah, you've definitely. So have you watched Avatar: The Last Airbender?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So you feel like Iroh when he's like, and everybody.
Yeah, it's like, you ever hear why they call me the Dragon of the West? Yeah. Not here for one of your stories. Actually, it's more of a demonstration.
Yeah. That scene was awesome. Just do that. There you go.
Yes. I am the Dragon of the West.
You know what I ended up finding? Because, of course, Iroh is amazing as a character. Yes. And I went to box lunch for the first time. And I told my husband, if we ever have another baby, I'm going to give him this sippy cup. And it's a sippy cup with the Jasmine Dragon slogan, but like a Starbucks logo with Iroh's
Oh my gosh. That's amazing. I want one.
If you look on their site right now, I'm sure you'll find it. I don't have it with me.
Jasmine Dragon sippy cup.
Yes. It was so cute. I was like, I'm buying this. He's like, we don't even have any, like, we have kids, but they're not going to use that sippy cup. And I was like, I am going to save that sippy cup.
Well, hey, Willie and I haven't had kids yet, and we're planning on it. So, like, yeah. I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, you buy all your Jasmine Dragon lunch.
Yes.
I was just so amazed that all of their, like, they had kids merch, but for like anime gear. I was like, yes. I'm in heaven. Yes. And like my son now has like Super Saiyan shirts and gear, and it's just like, yes, it's my son.
Okay, but my boss, speaking of Super Saiyan, so Space Boy updates on Wednesday nights, and so that's when we're crunching to get episodes done, or at least before he built up buffer. So he's like, on Wednesdays, I go into Super Saiyan mode. Comics! So that's Stephen McCraney for you.
He's got to bring it out, that's for sure. Yeah. I'm on a time crunch, guys. We gotta let this out here now. They're training.
Oh, man.
You know what? Yes. I love how much you incorporate the song lyrics for like Mi Mundo and chapter 18. So if this is Otto's personal song for Mia, are we gonna see other characters have songs as well?
Kind of, possibly. Not with lyrics. Yeah. But there is kind of a song for another ship.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's actually fun. So one time at like 2 a.m, I was being responsible and not sleeping, and I was like thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, so, well, for the Space Boy fan dub, there's a guy who's really good at like leitmotifs for different characters. Do you know what a leitmotif is?
I don't think so. I was like,
so it's like a melody that gets associated with that character. So like that would be Rey's motif from Star Wars has leitmotifs for every character.
Okay.
Yeah. So like you'll have a character like when they come on screen, you hear that song. Actually, I guessed a spoiler from The Mandalorian because I overheard my husband watching the series finale.
Yeah.
And I guessed a spoiler because of the leitmotif, I knew which character it was.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm a nerd. But anyway, tangent. One time I was like, what if I made leitmotifs for Aro and Mia? And I did it around Mimundo. So I actually I wanted to use lyrics for like Darte un beso by Prince Royce, but apparently lyrics are copyrighted. Mm-hmm. So I just made up my own.
Yeah.
For the stories, because they're not copyrighted, or they're copyrighted by me.
Yeah.
And so, but I actually have kind of a melody in mind for the chorus. And so I wrapped Aro and Mia's leitmotif so they would both go with that song. And
Cute.
It's cool. But I was thinking about that for another couple in Pot of Gold, like another potential ship. And I was like, here's a song that I kind of associate with these two. Mm-hmm. So
okay, I love that. That's so cute. Yeah, so much so, will these two ever get together?
I can't answer that.
Yeah, that's true.
You probably expected that.
I did. I just know some people asked that, and I was like, she's probably not going to answer that.
Yeah, I really can't. Sorry. The endgame ships are under lock and key. Yes. There are big spoilers associated with them, so yeah.
And how long has Mia been an actress? I don't know if that's been like addressed in the story and I just didn't notice, but
yeah, it hasn't been specifically addressed in the story. She got the part when she was about 15, almost 16.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Aro was already like barely 16 at that time. So that's when they got the part. So it's been like 3 years now.
Okay. I didn't know she got that young. That's cool.
Actually, probably closer to 4 years at this point.
And then, do the other characters have any secret talents?
This was when I was like, I saw this, I'm like, oh, I'm going to need to think about this one. And I didn't. But let's see. Well, I know Sai was able to play all 3 movements of Moonlight Sonata when he was 12, which, if you look up the 3rd movement, that is very complex. Mm-hmm. Sai has a lot of the, he's like, the like 4 more gifted kid who like won awards and like everything, and now is like having his first encounter with failure and has no idea what to do about it. Mm-hmm. John is an excellent DM. He's DM'd several D&D campaigns throughout high school, which yeah, I would say he's a great gamer too, but I don't think that that's a secret. I think that's expected. Yeah. Yeah, he's especially skilled at Super Smash Brothers. The only person who ever beats him is his sister Jess. Oh. And so Karen plays the drums and the trombone. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Their dad, actually, Aro and Karen's dad, is a musician by trade. Like that's his job. And when so the family kind of like split for a little bit. Aro and his mom moved to the US and then waited a few years before Karen and their dad were able to join them. And so while Karen and her dad were still living in Mexico, she like kind of joined his band and ended up playing the drums for it. And so yeah, Karen's a total daddy's girl, and Aro is definitely a mama's boy. It's great. Tia plays the piano. She's actually really good at it. I think that actually is like already in the comic. She also, I discovered this recently. I did this challenge where you draw your character's self-portraits, like how they would draw it. Yeah. And apparently Tia has like some ridiculous art skills that she never told me about. I was like, what the heck, Tia? Like, it's like she draws this like super realistic portrait. What the heck? Aro, I guess it's maybe not as much of a secret, but he does play guitar. Mm-hmm. He dances really well, and he's a really good cook. Mm-hmm. Which the cooking is something that he's developed more recently. But yeah. Oh, and Mia is really good at math.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
She's really good at math. Yeah. John also has some hidden talents that he has yet to discover, but that's part of the story. So I can't tell about that one yet.
That's exciting. And I love all of the outfits that you designed for your characters, Mia's especially. So do you happen to have a certain inspiration for them?
Yes. It's called Pinterest. Yeah. Well, I actually like, I try and have a different kind of fashion style for each character. I have a different everything style for each character. But I actually have Pinterest boards specifically for the fashion of each individual character, including the cast. And that's mainly because coming up with new outfit ideas just on my own is annoying and hard to do. And so when I'm drawing a new outfit and they've entered a new scene, I'll just go on Pinterest, look for ideas. Cool, that's the outfit. It's great. Some of them are really clear though. Like Mia's swimsuit I designed years ago. I was like, I'm so excited for the swimsuit. It's gonna be so cute.
Hers was so stinking cute. When I saw it, I was like, is this a real thing? I need it to be a real thing. Because that was
I
adorable.
hope so. Look up vintage suits. You'll probably find some stuff that's kind of close to it.
Yeah, okay. Because I saw it, I was like, that is so stinking cute. I don't know where she finds all these outfits to draw them. And I think in the last chapter, her pants were adorable. Those printed, I don't think they were like leggings or something.
They're joggers.
Joggers. They were so cute.
That outfit was an interesting one, actually. So when I drew the original first episode, she was just wearing a t-shirt. Like I have all these like undershirts that I wear. Like I've got a green one right here that I'm just wearing.
Yeah.
And so it's just a regular t-shirt. And I was like, yeah, let's get travel gear, just a regular t-shirt. But I was like, I also have this thing where like characters will always have like some sort of specific element in their clothes. Mia's is lace. She doesn't always have lace, but she almost always has some sort of lace on her outfits. And she also has like the boat neck collar. Yeah. That's like something that she'll wear a lot. And so but I was like, I need some sort of lace. This is just a plain t-shirt. I was like, oh, what if she was wearing like joggers with like a lacy pattern? And so that's what I ended up doing. Making the pattern was a little bit annoying, but luckily Clip Studio has like built-in lace, and so I don't spend nearly as much time actually drawing lace as I once did.
Wow. The magic of digital art.
Yeah. Aro's thing is he almost always is wearing, he either has like a really like buttoned all the way to the top collar, or he has a v-neck. And it's actually part of his shape language, because his shape language is, can you guess?
Yeah, triangle.
Triangles. Literally, you can assemble this man out of Doritos if you want. But yeah, so the v-neck goes with his shape language. So like even his like torso and like his legs are almost like.
Yes. And I noticed when you did the, I don't know, it's the April Fool's thumbnail for it. He was a triangle. I was like, he's just
he is. It's funny because like I have like a chibi style, and I would draw these characters like circle heads, except you can't draw chibi Aro with a circle head. It just doesn't look right. It has to be a triangle. Literally, when I thumbnail him, like they'll get the derpiest little things. Just like if I have like the cast and they're really small, it's like a circle with like the big hair, and that's Mia. A triangle, that's Aro, and then you have like a circle with like a little like big ponytail, and that's David, and it's just going from there. But yeah, Aro's just slice of pizza. He's just a slice of pizza. My friend even drew him as a slice of pizza once. There's so many cursed forms of Aro.
Oh my gosh, I didn't imagine there could be that many for that one character.
Dude, I had an album of like cursed forms of Aro, and it had over 100 photos in it. Like someone drew his face on a tree. He was Arok. Someone drew his head on a red car. It was Ferraro. The puns are great too. There's a drawing of Aro. I drew him like all like edgy and emo, and he's like got like frost tips, and like his hair's all in a mohawk, and he's got like eyeliner, and he's like, name's Aro. It rhymes with sorrow. But the most, the best of all of the Aro's curse forms is one that has actually made it into the canon through another character, and that is Snarro, which stands for Stabby Nose Aro.
Oh my gosh.
It's basically like the cryptid, like Bigfoot Yeti, whatever version of Aro. So Snarro has an extremely long and pointy nose, and like is like hunched over and has like mantis hands and like stalks through the woods. But also he really just wants friends, but he's just really creepy. So, but Cryptid Snarl is the name of Tia's favorite band. And the picture, the album cover, she has it on her t-shirt, is actually a drawing that my friend Elena did of Cryptid Snarl stalking through the woods. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that this band, like you'll see there's a scene where John goes and decides to try and like listen to Tia's music, and he's like, oh. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it involves dulcimer and screaming.
Nice. I think all my friends back in high school were like Screamo listeners. So that brings some nostalgia into it.
Tia likes to listen to like stuff that other people find questionable just because other people find it questionable.
Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, I like her character already. The little bits we do get of her, she's really interesting and so different from Mia, of course. But I think that's a really nice contrast. And then, when we get to see like her and John together, I think that's so sticky cute. I was like, oh my gosh.
They're adorable. They're so freaking awkward together.
Yes.
It's like John is just kind of naturally socially awkward, and Tia is like ridden with social anxiety, and so they're both just sitting there like trying not to mess up and like failing gloriously at social interaction, and I love it.
I don't know if you read the Canvas series by Dracula, the As I Am. They kind of remind me of them. I was like, yeah.
No, yeah. Drea's favorite ship is John and Tia. She absolutely loves them. And like, I mean, seeing how she wrote V and Wilbur, I guess I can see why.
Yeah.
I absolutely love As I Am. We both read each other's comics. It's great.
It's so cute. Have you done a collab at all? Like fan art collabs? Or
we haven't. I've never actually drawn her characters, which is a travesty because I love her comic. And yeah, I'm just really bad at doing fan art. I don't do it a ton just because I'm just busy and I forget that it exists. But I do need to. It is on my list. I will draw V and Wilbur at some point because I love her comic. Have you read the like spin-off that she made?
I have. It's so cute.
Yeah. The like reverse of where she's the ball of sunshine and he.
Yes.
Actually, the funny thing is, in earlier drafts of Pot of Gold, Tia was the ball of sunshine and John was the edgy, angsty one. Can you even imagine that?
I can't. And honestly, after seeing that alternate reality that she did, I was like, you know what? I could kind of try to imagine that.
Like Tia had a ponytail and she was just super happy all the time. And John's like hair covered his eyes.
When you can't draw the other eye.
I mean, that's a different character, but
yeah.
I do have a half-blind character with one eye, but that's really? A whole other. You'll meet him in season 2.
Exciting. And you know what? Let me see. Is that the last question I have for you? Oh, okay, no, that's not the one. So are any of the characters inspired?
There was a
by
question
people?
on there.
Yeah. So are any of the other characters like inspired by people you know in real life?
So I can't say that a lot of them were like based off of people like originally, but I definitely pull inspiration from people like as I write them, like as they've developed. Mia is pretty much a self-insert. Like she's different from me. Like, I'm an ENFJ, she's an ESFP. So like we have our differences, but like definitely a lot of Mia gets like I put the most of myself in Mia and Becca, which is Tia's roommate. Tia is very heavily based off of my sister, who like the clothing, the music taste, like definitely her. My sister isn't ridden with nearly as much social anxiety. She's more like doesn't prefer to socialize rather than is terrified of socializing. But like, yeah. And then John, a lot of his personality comes from my husband. Like especially like his interests, like into D&D and nerdy stuff, being a gamer. Like I pull a lot of that from my husband. Although visually it looks a lot like my friend Micah, and he has some like similar body language. Sai is actually a lot more of a self-insert than I care to admit sometimes. Like former gifted kid, perfectionist, like likes things a certain way, and I'm like, yeah, that's me. Sai is me on my period. Yeah.
I'll keep that in mind.
I'm not that bad. Actually, me on my period, I'm just ridiculously ADHD, so maybe it's Mia. But Aro is the toughest one because he's like not really based on anyone. Neither is Karen, but like they're based off people that I know exist, but I can't think of a specific person that they're based off of.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do like to. I pull a lot just from the various people that I've met, and like lately I pull more from 16 personalities and everything. I'm a little, like I said, I'm a little bit obsessed with Myers-Briggs, and like it's one of the things we talk about most of the server.
Yeah.
But yeah, like pulling from those, I actually, most of my characters have different personalities from each other. And so like you have Mia the ESFP, you have John as an ENFP, Sai's an INTJ, Karen's an ESTJ, Tia's an INFJ, and then Aro is an ISFJ.
Okay. So everyone's got their own little quirks there too. I like that.
Yeah, I'm starting to figure out the cast too. Actually, turns out David and Mia have the same personality type. It's like, you know, it's not like you think, oh yeah, David and Mia are so similar, but then once you point it out, you're like, I can see.
Yeah.
Just like, yeah, I love
great
them.
Friends. I totally think of great friends. And I think, like I said earlier, the last question I have for you is, what should we expect in season 2? What can we expect from you?
So we can expect to see more of Tia and John for sure. We can expect to, I can say that. We can expect to see the sisters reunite. They actually reunite pretty soon after the season starts. So we'll start to see the sisters actually interact with each other. We'll get to see a lot more Sai as well. We get to learn a little bit more about him and his dad and his relationship with his dad. We get to learn a little bit more about our villain and like what's going on with him. We'll get to see the characters interacting with school, like going to school and such. We'll get 2 new characters introduced. We will see of him or won't see of him and what might happen from this point. I cannot say. Like that one you'll have to wait and see what's going on with Aro.
Yes. I can totally understand that one because that's part of the spiciness.
Okay, but spicy is okay. I have to explain something. So this plot point with the fire and everything is like, for the longest time, my friends and I have referred to it under the code name of tacos, which is like it's only vaguely related. Like I'd have to explain a whole big convoluted to see like why that's even related. Mainly it's just a nickname that you wouldn't suspect because it has little to do with what's actually going on. But spicy tacos is when you refer to the fire, and I actually have a playlist called the Spicy Tacos playlist, and it's all made up of fire songs. And it's honestly probably one of the most terrible things I've ever created because it's horrible. Like you listen to it, you're like, this is so bad. Like you're just like putting it in the context of this like super dramatic like event in the story, and it's just like Ring of Fire by Johnny Cash, and you're like, this is terrible, and I shouldn't be laughing at this, but it's hilarious to me.
It's commitment.
It's a terrible thing that I've made, but you know, it exists.
You know, like we get the context of it now.
Yeah. The playlist is public on Spotify. I actually have all my character playlists on there, and all of the ones that are like revealed are public. So the characters that haven't been introduced yet, their playlists aren't public, and then there's spoiler playlists. So there's taco clearance, and then there's razor clearance. Razor clearance is like kind of getting closer to end game. And that playlist is of course hidden, but the taco playlist is out. So
I love that. Ooh, I love the playlist too. I try to listen to music whenever I read my webtoons, so I will make sure to look at that.
Hey, what kind of music are you usually into? Because each playlist is, they're rather than being like plot playlists, they're like, this is stuff about this character. They're more like music that the character would listen to. So like each playlist is kind of a different genre.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I like pop music and I like lo-fi, of course. I like the lo-fi music. Any EDM. I love EDM.
All right.
And then
all right, so you would probably love Mia's playlist because that's the one that's just all like top 40 pop, like songs that you know all the words to and like have heard a billion times on the radio. Aro's got some pop as well. It's more like Latin pop. He's also got the Coco soundtrack, which there's actually a story behind all of Aro's playlists. So he has the Coco soundtrack because Karen got it for him for Christmas. When the movie came out, she just absolutely fell in love with it. Especially because their dad is a musician and like she's a little girl, and so she's just like, it's her new favorite movie, and so she sent him the soundtrack. And then he also has the Owl City Ocean Eyes soundtrack that his best friend in middle school gave him the CD to when he turned 11. So his playlist is Latin pop, Owl City, and Coco soundtrack, and one song that's like like an Indian song, but it just kind of fit the vibe. So I put it on it. I'm just like, I feel like Ara would enjoy it. Don't touch me. Yeah.
Oh, you know what else I listen to a lot is a lot of J-pop and K-pop.
That's Karen's playlist. Karen is actually
someone had to.
Yes. So Karen's roommate got her into K-pop, and she's like waiting for like Aro to arrive in Colorado so she can get him into K-pop. I don't know if she'll succeed or not. We'll see. But yeah, like Aro doesn't really explore much like in the way of new music because he just kind of sticks with what he has. But Karen's just like, I will get you into this music. EDM is John's playlist. His playlist is like EDM, some light melodic dubstep, and Enya. It's great.
That's so cute though. They all have so much variety. That's so cute.
It's fun. Like sometimes I just want to get in the mood, like, I want to feel fancy. So I'm gonna listen to Size. So like listen to some like electro swing and some lo-fi and like kind of the kind of EDM that you'd listen to like driving through the city at night with sunglasses on. Yes. I literally bought sunglasses not because I needed sunglasses, but because I needed something to wear while listening to Si's playlist. Like, right? I'm like, it doesn't feel right to listen to Si's playlist without wearing shades.
Yeah, illustrate the backdrop too. You get the color scheme.
Oh man, yes. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun because making the different character playlists has like kind of motivated me to explore different genres. And so like I'll find a bunch of music in a genre that I hadn't really listened to a ton before, but I'm like, I want to fit this character's vibe. And so yeah, like it's gotten me to explore new genres and find new music, and it's fun.
It's so cool. And I guess you get more into what their character personalities are like when you get their music taste.
I made mood boards once too, and I was like, why did I never do this? It's great.
Oh, I saw that on your stories. I was like, those are cute.
Right? Well, I mean, some of them were cute.
Yeah. But I mean, some of them are cursed a little bit.
Yeah, Zaren's mood board is actually a dumpster fire. There may actually be a picture of a dumpster fire in his mood board. Tia's is like kind of an escapism, like I want to be a hermit in the woods kind of thing, but also like light my boots on fire.
Yeah. It was so cute though. Like some of them was like, man, I love these colors. I need some more.
My favorite mood board
I was like
Aro's actually.
Yeah.
I just love it. It's got like kind of a hard to describe. It does kind of have a lo-fi California beach sunset, but it's actually maybe more like Mexico than California. But it's definitely like, a summer day on the beach with a guitar and some ice cream and like, brightly colored buildings with the paint slightly peeling and just kind of a warm but bright and colorful aesthetic. And I'm like, man,
that's really cute.
Right?
It's like, don't stop bringing in the mood boards. I want to see more.
Actually, I have their mood boards on Pinterest. Like those were just like selected things that I put in a collage, but like I add to their mood boards all the time. And I gotta say, after making the mood boards, especially with like Sai's mood board and Zaren's mood board, Sai's mood board is all like really elegant, fancy architecture and like these grandiose libraries and like pictures of wine glasses and stuff. I swear this man. But and then Zarin is like a picture of a pigeon eating a slice of pizza off the ground, and like someone planking on top of a McDonald's sign. And it's like my Pinterest recommendations for the next few days were just wild. I was like, I'm getting like fancy architecture next to like pictures of pigeons, and then like a cursed verb meme, and then like a picture of like a fantasy world. And I'm like, yeah, Pinterest doesn't even know what to recommend me. Eventually it'll get used to recommending memes again.
I can imagine Sarah's mood board including all of the awful hot Cheeto recipes that keep getting recommended.
Can you send these to me? I might need to put them on his board.
Yes, I will. It wouldn't stop. I told my friend one day, like, okay, they won't stop showing up on my feed. I don't know, it's because I touched it. Like I touched them on my Explore feed. And I was like, no, I don't want to see more.
I've actually pinned like advertisements to his board. Like there's an advertisement of this guy in a suit just popping up with a snorkel, and I'm like, perfect. But I can't pin the ads. I figured out how to pin the ads. So now
that's fine.
It's a dumpster fire of board, man.
Well, I had so much fun talking to you throughout this whole interview. You're so fun and bright and just so creative.
Thank you.
It's really so great. And I want to make sure I have all of your social medias and everything you want your readers to connect with you on. So do you have any particular ones you want to tell them about?
Yeah, absolutely. The places where I'm most active, I'm really active on Instagram. So you can follow me there at Pot of Gold Comic. I also occasionally post fan arts and other arts on at Natasha Berlin Art, but the Pot of Gold one is more active. Beyond that, I'm really active on Discord, which saying the link might be a little excessively complex, but there's a link to the Discord on my link tree in either of my Instagrams, so you can find it there. And then beyond that, I have a Twitter, but I don't really use it. I have a Facebook that just reposts my Instagram stuff, but they're all basically under the same handle. So I think the only other one would be like my Patreon. So under Natasha Berlin Art or Pot of Gold, either one, I think you should be able to find my Patreon. There's also links on Instagram. So I've been posting weekly off panels there. So people will like suggest something they want to see. Like, I want to see John dressed as a D&D character, or I want to see Mia and Sai as Ariel and Scuttle from Little Mermaid. The one I drew this week was Tia at peace, like in nature, and like I did all this crazy cross hatching with the trees. And every 10 off panels, I'm gonna let them vote on their favorite, and then I'll share that one publicly. So all the non-patrons will see 1 in 10 of the off panels. Yeah. But you know, if I'll be a little bit bold and like plug, it's only $1 a month if you want to see all of those. So
if you got the budget for it, you definitely go check it out. You won't be disappointed.
Yeah, you can recommend them too. So if you've been dying to see a very specific drawing of like John and Tia or Mia or whatever, like you can request it and it'll go on the list.
Yes. So I'll be sure to have all of that linked down below in the podcast. And if any of you want to go and check out Pot of Gold, I recommend it heavily because it is such a bright read. And soon Natasha will bring back season 2, and you got to get hyped for it. You have to.
I'm hyped. Yeah, and thank you so much for having me. Like, oh my gosh, you had like the cutest laugh, and like you just brightest smile. Anyway, most of the people listening probably can't see your smile, but like just you've made my evening. You gave me a reason to get dressed today so I can finish packing, and I love listening to your podcast, and like thank you so much for this opportunity. I love being able to like just geek out and talk, and so this is really fun. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I had such a pleasure having you here, and I love having guests, so whenever you want to again.
Oh, anytime. I want to all the time.
Yeah, all the time. You'll just see her in every
episode. Yeah, there you go.
Like, do you have like a specific webtoon you like to read? Because I would love to have you on like a discussion episode or anything.
If you ever want to talk about Space Boy, I'm down.
Okay, yeah, I will totally have to bring
I feel like that would be the most relevant one. Like some of the other, like I'm a fan of a bunch of comics, but like that, I feel like that's one I can actually say stuff about because like I actually work for Mr. McCraney now, and so I do the colors.
Yeah,
it's like I won't hug all of your podcasts, but if you do ever want to get in contact with any other creators that I'm friends with, like, let me know, because love to let them have this opportunity too.
Yeah, I love it. And it's so fun. I had such a blast when I did my first interview with Shara Jackson when I did Broke Darby. And I was just like, I didn't think I would get there to interview somebody. And it was fascinating. I get to interview you, and it's so fun. So thank you so much for being on here.
Thank you for inviting me. Like, when you asked, I was like, oh, yes. Absolutely.
You made it, really. And I hope you get more interviews in the future. And hopefully
I hope so.
Your Webtoon. Yeah, I hope your Webtoon takes off even more than it is now, because I know it's so bright and ready to be seen by everyone in the world.
Thank you.
So, you're so welcome. So thank you. And I don't know if you want to say anything to the audience before we call off.
As Frank James would say, stay cool and attractive.
I will see you later, guys. Bye.
Bye, you guys.
I had an absolute blast talking with Natasha today. I learned so much about different perspectives in comic creating, and I really feel that what Natasha spoke about today could be so beneficial to any creator who is anticipating to create their own webtoon. I also love that she is just so fun to speak with and an overall kind person. If you have not yet, go check out Pot of Gold. I will leave a link in the description, as well as all the other outlets to help support Natasha. I also wanted to mention to all of you that next week will be my first week back in college, as well as my birthday landing in that week as well. So next Saturday's episode may have a delay, and it will be an anime episode that I recorded with some friends earlier this month. So the podcast won't be dealing with any hiatus or anything. I will still be making episodes. I will just more than likely have delays every now and then due to assignments and the sort. I will be adjusting to my classes and spending time with family this week. So hopefully you guys will enjoy the very chill episode. Thank you for making my weeks a little better with your kind words and support. It really means a lot. It makes the podcast that much more enjoyable for me. And now, if you have any thoughts or opinions of what we discussed today in this episode, then feel free to message me through either of my social media handles. Both my Twitter and Instagram handles are at the Toon Balloon. I would love to hear from you. Also, definitely tell me any other webtoons, anime, or manga you are interested in, and I may talk about them in future episodes. The Toon Balloon podcast can be listened to on SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Podcasts, YouTube, and more. Now, let's end this episode of the podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today and taking the time to listen to my humble podcast. I look forward to talking with you again. This is the Toon Balloon podcast. I was your host, Gooby. See you next time.